2, and 1.
Tired of wiping on the same boss for hours?
Die, insect.
Can't seem to win against that new druid deck?
My thanks to you.
Are your teammates not standing on the payload?
Quit lollygagging. Get on the payload.
Well, grab a drink and pull up a chair. This is the Game Case Show, your Blizzard Entertainment podcast. Here are your hosts, Cuddles and Turarts.
And hello, hi, howdy, and welcome to episode 78 of The Game Case. I am Chris, also known as Cuddles, a brewmaster monk on Airy Peak in the Convert to Raid Guild.
And I'm Turarts, a Beast Mastery Hunter, also in the Convert to Raid Guild on Airy Peak server.
This week, we're going to talk a little bit about our week in gaming, answer some questions from the Cuddle crew, and then we're going to be talking to the man that has kept me from hitting Legendary in Hearthstone for longer than I would like to admit. He is the possessor of one of the best hats I have ever seen, and one of my absolute favorite podcast folks. I almost said podcast personalities, but this guy is so real, like you can't even throw that at him. Guys, tonight we have the wonderful, the incredible, the inestimable Espo. Espo, how are you doing tonight?
Dude, you have done it, man. That has to be the greatest introduction I've ever had. I'm feeling hot. Am I red? This is awesome. I'm doing great, dude. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, tell us, how has your week of life been? You've taken some time out of your schedule to be with us tonight.
Oh, goodness. Okay. So my week's been busy. As always, I'm a very busy guy. I try to stay young by staying busy. This week, I taught some art to small children. I've been building, fixing, and riding bicycles, and getting my land house ready. And just before we went live, I actually got an email from my architect that said preliminary drawings are ready. So this week we will meet with him. It's super excited, super excited. I have been taking care of horses, avoiding death, and trying to play video games. That's my week.
That is absolutely beautiful. So I got two questions. So first of all, as a little bit of a nerd, I gotta ask: is your house going to have any specific theme? Are you building like a Hobbiton house, maybe a castle, life-size replica of the Millennium Falcon, or are we going like traditional kind of roof, four walls sort of thing?
Oh, we're definitely going non-traditional. We're going no roof, no four walls. Definitely open floor plan to the max. So like you just pull your vehicle right into the house, mountain bikes right into the kitchen. So, I wish, dude. I really wish I could go that route, but maybe in the future. I tell you what, we do have a lot of land, so I'm thinking I'm gonna have children. So in the backyard, I'll have the perfect place for me to make that happen just on a smaller scale and just say it's for the kids.
Yes. Blame all the fun stuff on the kids. It works. 10 of 10. Yeah. That's why I want that's why I want the new Nintendo Switch for the kid, right? Because
of course.
I'll never let him touch it. We'll play together for hours and have so much fun. No, and so bikes we're talking. I'm assuming from the hat, and I kind of already know the answer. But are we talking road bikes, full on spandex? Like, are we talking like some hardcore manly mountain biking?
Okay, so I have my professional license racing mountain bikes, manly mountain bikes. Wow. But I do this manly mountain biking in spandex, just so I can move my body a little bit quicker over my bicycle. But I do train on the road bike a lot. I put a lot of miles and hours on the road bike. So I ride it all. I'm all over the place. If it has two wheels and pedals, I do it.
That is beautiful. I am as much as I kind of poked fun at it. I'm actually a spandex like road biking fool. I've been out of it for quite some time, but Yeah, I have I have my nice road bike, and then I have a tri bike. I used to do triathlons, and that is all of the spandex. Like,
I have my bicycle right here that I pulled down, and I actually spin while I'm like watching Netflix, and yeah, it's my wintertime deal right here. Because I'm at a stand-up desk right now, and what I do is I pull my bike down. It's on a trainer, and then I just spin and play games and watch Twitch. And,
That's pretty awesome.
yeah.
okay, that's pretty darn awesome. I'm definitely envious of the stand-up desk. That's really really cool.
Yeah.
So why don't we go ahead and talk a little bit about gaming? Dive into what we've been into, either within or outside of the Blizzard universe. Espo, why don't you kick it off? What have you been up to with gaming, my friend?
You guys are just putting me all on the spotlight. I love it. Okay, well, actually, and in fact, I told Rez, I said, dude, I got to be off. Any Blizzard game we play tonight, I got to be off by 9:30 because I got to do this. I said, Chris needs me. So Rez and I actually just finished running some Greater Rifts on our Season 9 characters. I'm running a Wizard,
Nice.
but I'm only Paragon 103 right now. Rez, of course, is like 400 some. But then, of course, right before that, I think it was last night or the night before, we were doing some Hearthstone, and I am 0-9 in the arena right now. This Tuesday, we'll have our arena podcast, and I'm not doing well at all, but I am having fun experimenting with Mean Streets decks, of course. So always fun guaranteed with the Hearthstone. I'm attempting to get my Hunter into Karazhan in WoW. I have 110 level Hunter, item level like 880 or something like that. So I'm trying to get into Karazhan while I'm leveling up a Demon Hunter tank. So we'll see how that goes. Also, the other night we decided to dive into Heroes of the Storm and chase some roosters around. I hear there's wild roosters that you have to chase around quite a bit, and you get some kind of crazy amount. I don't know. I was corralled into there by friends, and but I'm really looking forward to this next week. I guess if you play 15 games in Heroes of the Storm, you get a WoW mount as part of the 4 Azeroth event. You get like a Primal Flame Saber or some odd stuff like that. So that's been my week in gaming.
Wow, you definitely you
a
went
lot.
around the Blizzard horn. That is impressive. T, what about you? What you been doing?
Well, I was about to brag that I'm finally in all purples at 859 as a hunter, but never mind on that one. No, so a little bit of WoW, dabbled in that a little bit. We busted out the normal Wii, the old school regular Wii, because my 4-year-old is finally getting into video games. And that's where he can just move a joystick and make Mario jump. And that's all he has to do. And it's pretty easy. So we spent a lot of time playing old school, normal, regular Wii. And yeah, that was a lot of fun. It's watching him experience a game that I've been playing since I was like 5. So that's that. And then other than that, Minecraft. I've been getting into that a little bit. I never thought I would, but I have a place and no one's allowed to touch my world. And yeah, so dabbling in the Minecraft a bit.
That is really cool. So I haven't seen WoW in like 3 weeks. I'm sorry. It's been
You
with
had
PAX.
TwitchCon though.
Yeah, well, PAX South.
That one.
Yeah, it's so hard. I can barely keep up right now. Because I think I'm
They just
20.
announced TwitchCon.
I think I'm 22 days from PAX East, so
Yeah.
it's 8 conventions this year. It's gonna be nutty. But with PAX South, I came back with the PAX box. Had some changes in my life, so we missed a couple episodes here. But I have been doing a lot of gaming. I did Conan Exiles, which is a new survival world building game that I'm loving. I am so addicted to. I've done nothing but build my house in it, and I was like, I'm gonna build this little tiny house up on this cliff, and it'll be like a longhouse style thing, and it'll be modest. And now I'm on the 3rd story on the 2nd level, kind of overtaking part of the mountain. It's out of control. I shouldn't play games like that. That, and I've been really getting, for those that follow my stream. I kind of got my start as an Elite Dangerous and Space Sim streamer, so we've been getting back into Elite Dangerous, having a lot of fun with that. Mainly because I'm gonna have an opportunity to stream from the Elite Dangerous booth at PAX East. So I'm super pumped about that. Really love the opportunity. So we're kind of knocking the rust off and figuring out how to play that again. And Hearthstone, lot of Hearthstone off stream. I think I'm about rank 12 right now. If I would stop listening to Legend of the Innkeeper, I'm sure I would be Legend. It is Espo that keeps me from it. I'm going to mention that repeatedly, folks. Maybe at some point we'll explain it. But no, having a whole lot of fun. Mean Streets is such a fun, just a fun expansion. To steal Espo's tagline, fun guaranteed with Mean Streets. There's a lot of real cool decks to play around with. But guys, that's enough about me and what I've been doing, because you guys watch a lot of that on the internet. So why don't we dive in and do some questions from the Cuddle Crew? Now, if you're wondering, how can I be part of the Cuddle Crew? Well, if you're listening to me, you are. Sorry, you're already in. You signed the permission slip. You don't remember, but that's okay. It's okay. There was some fine print. I'll be calling you about things later. But no, guys, you can go to bit.ly/Cuddles Discord. That's bit.ly/Cuddles Discord. And put your questions in the questions for the show. Because that's where the questions for the... Anyway, then we read them, and it's cool. So, guys, our first question this week comes to us from the wonderful Draven Dresden, who is actually in the chat room right now. T, why don't you go ahead and read this one for us?
Yeah. Draven asks, WoW has Valentine's Day event going on right now. What holiday event would you like to see, and how would you implement it? And then adds it doesn't have to be a WoW holiday. So, Espo, we will put you on the spot and have you go first.
All right. So I didn't put much thought into this, but there's this Canadian holiday called Boxing Day, and I never knew what it meant, and I never chose to look it up because I want my own idea. And in my mind, Boxing Day is when you box up everything and you just put it in boxes, and then you basically play your own Minecraft with these boxes. So I think we ought to have that in WoW, where you just, everything turns into Minecraft and you can actually move around things in World of Warcraft and enjoy yourself and make your own little life. You basically like you do in Minecraft, you move stuff around. So Boxing Day in World of Warcraft, where everything turns into boxes, you just basically pixelate everything and move everything around. So there you go.
That is beautiful and also hilarious, because I always thought Boxing Day was like a much friendlier version of The Purge, where instead of being able to actually murder people, you get in a big inflatable boxing ring and take out your fears and your frustration. Hey, Mr. Boss Man, I don't want to do any more TPS reports. Inflatable boxing ring. And that's why Canadians are so nice. There you go. T, what event would you like to see in the Blizzard universe?
Ooh, I did not put a lot of thought into this one. I honestly have no idea, because they do a really good job at having holidays. I would love to see a day where we could, kind of very non-Canadian, claim a superior race in each faction. So just have a day where you get to PvP it out, and whatever race wins gets to be the race of the year. And then next year, we could do it again and see whatever race wins. Or we could do class. We could even do class, which we all know hunters would kill everyone because we just sick our pets on you guys. But yeah,
No,
something like that.
no, monks.
No monks.
Monks would do it.
It's okay. Shh.
It's okay. Rushing Jade wins. Just rushing Jade wins all the things. So if I had to pick a WoW or any game holiday, I think I'm with Turarts. I'm new to computer gaming in the last couple of years, so having been a console plebe for so many years, I'm not used to games implementing things. So I can remember the very first time that I walked into Stormwind in 2015, actually, when I walked into Stormwind and it was Wintervale. And looking around and seeing all the effort that went into having that be a holiday, it was just absolutely beautiful. If I had to pick something, I would like to see Arbor Day in Overwatch. and we all have to just go out. We don't kill each other. We just go and plant trees. That's the game. You just plant a tree. And then everyone's really confused because nobody knows what Arbor Day is.
We could have done that on Warlords. You know how many things of lumber we chopped down for our dumb garrisons?
Yes.
Yeah.
We could have planted a few trees.
So I don't think we would do that in Warlords. I think basically we would do it. What was the expansion after that? Well, it's Legion. So in Legion, they're like, because yeah, well, you know, so many expansions. Well, at the beginning of Legion, they're like, well, you know, we realized we kind of made a mistake, and all of Azeroth, Draenor was taken, all the trees were taken down, so now we have to plant trees. So now you have to go around. So at the beginning of Legion, I think you should have had to go around and plant all the trees to make up for all the ones we chopped down for our garrison. I
would have done it. Oh.
But dude, that answer wins. You win, dude. You win.
I can totally see like Taryn, if you're listening, because I'm sure you do. I can totally see the cinematic for this. Like, do you realize how many trees died in Azeroth or in Draenor during Warlords of Draenor? My friends, for only 5 copper a day, you can help contribute to the reforestation of a lost, split off timeline that doesn't make sense, that we just kind of threw in there, Star Trek style. We didn't have an idea, so alternate timeline. But you too can help plant a tree. And then like you have like a really sad kid next to the trees, or where the trees used to be, and they're like crying and they're obviously hungry, but we don't care. We're just gonna give them trees to climb in. And that's what we do. And that's Taryn run with that.
Usually like an orphan orc climbing on a pile of rocks, and he's like just climbing on the pile of rocks. There's no tree, and he's like really sad.
This young orc used to have a tree house, but you know what this young orc doesn't have anymore? A tree house, because you and your crazy Commando Jack lumberjacks, Justin Timberbrow. What was his name? It was Justin Timberlord. Was that it? Anyway, yeah, this could be a thing. So we do have another question as I'm pontificating on WoW's Arbor Day. And our next question comes from Joe Brums, a.k.a. the Kerosene Kid, host of Your WoW Money. And Draven, by the way, host of Epic Fail Podcast. Thank you for that question, Draven. So Joe Brums from Your WoW Money asks, what do you think about the WoW tokens now? I'm presuming Joe is referring to the fact that we can now transfer WoW tokens into Battle.net money.
Yes.
So Espo, I'm really curious as somebody that doesn't necessarily main Warcraft. Is this going to affect you? Are you excited about it? How do you feel about the new changes?
Super excited. I have a lot of alts in Warcraft. I've played all Warcraft since beta, and it's always been my go-to game when I'm not playing something else. So I accumulated a lot of gold, and I really like this for those people that have kind of played Warcraft on and off, and they have just that gold just kind of lying around, but they play all these other Blizzard games, or they've wanted to play these other Blizzard games. So this is, I think, going to allow them to kind of say, hey, you know what? I can now play Overwatch because I'm just going to use my Battle.net money to pay for the game by buying these tokens. So, and I just looked on my server today, and they're at 85,000. So they were upwards around 120 on some servers like the past couple days, but I think they're finally starting to go back down again. At one point, I saw them for like 30K, but that was long ago. But now that this is happening, but I like what they're doing for the simple fact that, you can buy Hearthstone packs, you can buy, you could buy games. Like if you're into, Blizzard games, but you don't want to fork out the cash, well, now you can play Overwatch with your Battle.net balance from your WoW Gold.
Yep. And we actually, it's great that you mentioned that specifically. We have a member of the Cuddle Crew, Mr. Bruce Nee, also a member of Convert to Raid, who did just that. He had been waiting on purchasing Overwatch, and when the WoW token hit, he jumped in, bought a bunch of WoW tokens, and went and purchased Overwatch off of gold that he earned in WoW. Like, that's really cool. That's like to be able to now you can do server transfers. You can do all the things. Like this is really an exciting way of kind of incentivizing those gold hunters in WoW. T, are you buying? Are you selling? Are you doing either way? Has the WoW token affected your life?
How it's affected my life is because I buy tokens for game time. Just because that's what I do. So it's like now it's up over 77 when I bought it today. So it's just a little annoying there, but I do like the fact that it gives people the option. I used to be hardcore into getting gold, not so much now. I get like what I need and then I'm good.
Yep.
But no, it really is nice. People, I mean, Overwatch is what, like $40, $60 depending on which way you go. Now just buy 2 or 3 tokens and there you go. So it's kind of an option. Awesome alternative to actually having money to buy these games. Words.
Yeah, it's so cool that they're allowing us to transfer our time in game into actual. And for me, I'm on the other side of it. Like I have all the games, with the exception of StarCraft because my Korean's really bad. And I need the gold. I don't have the time in game. So when they hit, I think it was 138. I bought one, and I really probably should have bought 2 or 3 because then I would have never had to worry about making gold again in WoW ever.
Back when they first came out, I remember like 30,000 gold was considered a lot for a token because I had like 8 months of game time because they were only 20,000 or 25, and I was like, buy. Oh,
well, that was. I think when we were first talking about it, when tokens were about to launch, I had guessed on. I think I was on the. I was a guest on the Starting Zone, Mick Montgomery's old podcast that Spencer's doing now.
Yeah.
And doing a great job. Great job, Spencer. You rock.
Yes.
You could always ask me to come back on a guest again. I'm just saying, I'm in the Slack. Just, not gonna call you out, but no, I think I had guessed that they were gonna be around 100K. And it's nice to now, a year later, be right.
Cuddles is right.
Yes, I would like to point that out. But guys,
You think?
oh, go ahead.
I was saying you were looking at the long game.
Exactly. I knew where the market was gonna be. Okay, guys. I don't play these little laissez-faire, predict things that happen tomorrow. I'm more of an oracle, if you will, possibly of Delphi. I don't know. I predict things and then they happen years later. Coincidentally, totally not predicted by me. But that's enough for the questions this week. Joe and Draven, thank you so much for that questions. We do really appreciate you. Guys, we're going to jump right in to the meat and the potatoes. Espo, tell us a little bit about the man behind the alarmingly awesome hat.
Oh, jeez. Well, like I said earlier, I do teach the arts to the children, and I race bicycles, and I am also a Hearthstone podcaster with my co-host Bastidius. Every Tuesday night, we get on, a program called Skype, which sometimes works, and we record a podcast about Hearthstone, very casually, about casually playing Hearthstone, and it's a lot of fun. We've been playing, I think both of us have been playing since alpha, or at least since beta. I know I was in the alpha a little bit, and just have really been enjoying the game on the casual level. I think the highest I've gotten in Hearthstone is rank 3, and never really pushed myself. Just, I wanted to have fun with the game, and I do. I have a blast with the game. A real close friend of mine who used to be my only friend, Rez, he and I would get together and just go crazy with these awesome decks, throwing cards at each other. We played the WoW TCG prior, so when Hearthstone came out, it was just an easy transition to the game. So, and of course, I am a loving husband, and I live on her family's horse farm where we enjoy walks around the farm, horses, goats, and everything North Carolinian.
Oh.
That is beautiful. So are you I always forget this. Is it vinegar-based barbecue sauce? Are you guys?
Yeah.
Okay. I like that. I like that.
Yes. Yes.
That's yummy.
Mhm.
It's very. We're gonna have to like trade barbecue sauce or something, recipes. We'll do that after the show.
Definitely.
That's a thing that needs to happen. Now, guys, I have talked about Legend of the Innkeeper several times on this show. Pretty much anytime we talk about Hearthstone, because one of the things that I love about the way that you guys do your podcast is, and there are great Hearthstone podcasts out there. Angry Chicken springs to mind. They do a great job. They're awesome. But every time I tuned in before I got into the game, I was like, "What are they talking about?"
Also lost. Yeah.
Because they dive so deep into the meta as you do, and it made no sense. So I found myself like looking around and going, "I need a podcast for me, the absolutely like hopeless Hearthstone player that wants to be less hopeless." And I found you guys, and you come at the game from a casual standpoint. Although you give great, insightful, in-depth knowledge, you do it in such an approachable way. Is that a conscious decision that you guys like try to keep everything casual and newbie friendly?
Well, I guess going into it, we kind of had, of course, I came in around episode 12, and it was Vestidius and his daughter. They were Arianwin. They were doing the podcast, and of course, it was on the casual level. They were just casual players, and they were new to the game because it was a new game. So when I came in, I just kept that going, and we had talked, about our mission statement being we wanted to keep it casual. We constantly wanted to go back to the roots of the game so that if we ever did get new players, they would feel comfortable. And like our target audience is not necessarily the new player, but yet a player that's not, paying attention to all the meta and all the news and all the, vocabulary that comes along with card games in general. We wanted to target the person that came into Hearthstone that had never played a card game before, or, had never played a computer game before. You got to click and drag the mouse. We had talked about, things like that. So we wanted to make it simple and keep it casual. So we tried to do that. Sometimes we do, throw out that vocabulary, but if not Vestidius, then we remind each other, hey, what does meta mean? What does cycling your deck mean? What do these things mean? Because like you said, you tune into these awesome podcasts like The Angry Chicken or Well Met or Value Town, and they immediately start throwing out all this vocabulary and all this jargon, and they're naming cards through nicknames, and you're like, what? I don't understand what are you talking about?
Like,
or
hoot hoot. Like,
yeah,
hoot hoot.
Yeah.
Because nobody ever has said that, have they?
Yeah,
Espo? No.
Yeah. So I apologize.
No,
I'm a
you're
hypocrite.
So cool.
So, but yeah, I mean, we consciously try to do our best to keep it casual and to appease our target audience, which is the semi-casual new player. But we also, we throw out stuff for, the people that are competitive too. We have a lot of competitive players that listen and are fans, and they still enjoy us. I'm confused why, but obviously we're doing something right.
Well, that's what I think. I get some of the best tips that come outside of your show are from one of your Patreon rewards is entrance into a Legend of the Innkeeper private Facebook group that you guys run, and that's where I get some of like the best tips and some of the best, like the coolest, like competitive stuff, because you have that audience that maybe they were a casual player and now they've gotten a little bit like less casual, or they're they're getting a little bit more into the game, and it's so cool to see that community coming together. Like, you guys have done a phenomenal job on building a community.
Yeah, I want to say the Facebook group, I mean, of course the podcast is it's so much bigger than I thought it would ever be. And shout out to Vestidius. He does an amazing job each week. and I just kind of smile and nod and laugh. But I want to say my biggest success, or our biggest success, or something that I'm pretty proud of, is the community and that Facebook group. It's amazing what goes on in that Facebook group. I want to say weekly, but almost daily. Someone's posting something. Someone's chatting it up about strategy. We do have probably half dozen to a dozen legend players in there.
Wow.
But yet you wouldn't know it, because they post fun decks. They post, all these neat things, and they're not, just saying, oh, I did this in Legend, I did that in Legend. They're either helping each other or they're telling you how to have fun in the game. And that's huge. I push that every week. How do you have fun in the game? Because it can be a grind. Any video game oftentimes turns into a grind. And either you stop playing and go to something else, or in my case, I try to convince people to find the fun again in the game. Most games now you can play with friends. So I try to push that and keep people playing the game and having fun. And in our Facebook community, they do that, and it's awesome.
That's great. I know we have, from the CTR Guild community, so many people who are new to Hearthstone and being like, where should I go? Where should I go? And because Cuddles has talked about your podcast so much, and I've caught a couple episodes here or there, I'm like, you should listen to this. Like, this is a great resource for you guys. So it's just so awesome that you guys, do that for the community.
Oh, thank you.
And I love you mentioned it started out with Vastidius and Arianwen. So this is like a family affair. You're like the close family friend now. You're like part of the family. That's awesome. How did that, if I guess this may be a better question, but how did it come about that this became such a family and family friendly affair as well? That's something important to highlight. Is this show? I have no problem handing this show out to anyone. You guys stay extremely family friendly, and that's such. I don't mind that. I don't mind the vulgarity in podcasts sometimes, but it's kind of refreshing to see something that's just totally I don't want to say pure, but pure.
Well, so it's twofold. So it started out, like you said, with Vastidius and his family. He has two daughters that he plays video games with, and they actually, I think, have done podcasts in the past, not necessarily about Hearthstone or card games, but about other things. And then they started the Hearthstone podcast, and I listened to a few episodes and reached out to them and said, hey, I'd love to hang out with you guys. You guys are local to my area. Let's meet and play some Hearthstone. So we actually only played maybe 3 games of Hearthstone, if that, but we spent 3 to 4 hours talking about the game. And right then, I think we all agreed that it was just a fit. They felt like family immediately, and and they took me in, and it was awesome how we just clicked. And then, of course, Arianwen, she decided to adult, and she got a job and moved away. So her sister stepped in, and Squishy Dragon, new to the game, just made it, again, just gave us fresh breath. And we led her to, great things in Hearthstone, and it was neat, kind of guiding her, and she refreshed our casualness and our new playerness, and it was really cool. And so the second part, not only are we like a family, or not only are we a family, but I'm also a school teacher. I teach kindergarten through 5th grade art, and I was a little worried about being on a podcast, because I'd listened to podcasts before, and yes, they do get vulgar, and I was like, well, you know what? These first 10 episodes have been amazing. These people really seem family friendly, and this is something that I could really get into and feel like I could be a part of this community. And being a volunteer for Cryptozoic, the company that did the WoW TCG, I actually did a lot of community events with that card game. So I was like, you know what? I feel like I could maybe help these guys out and enjoy myself talking about an awesome game. So going into it, I was like, I gotta, I'm a teacher. I can't be putting myself out there, cussing and swearing and being, a hypocrite, to my students if they did see me or listen to me. So I went ahead and just kept that going, and man, it's been rolling ever since, and it's amazing. And what really is cool, seeing those emails come in where we'll have a dad or a family and they'll say, thank you guys for doing what you do, because I have no problem driving my kids to school and listening to your podcast, because they're like, oh, hey, there's Squishy Dragon again. She's playing, she's playing Rogue this week, and the kids don't really know, but they get to hear, they get to listen, and and dad's okay with it. Mom's okay with it, because we are family friendly. So it's great when we get those emails from families that say, wow, this is refreshing to know that there are podcasts out there about video games where people aren't, where people are family friendly.
That's awesome. I'm going to butt in because we did get a last minute question that I skipped from Vastidius, and we're gonna pop this your way, Espo. What is your favorite name you've come up with for one of your decks in Hearthstone?
Oh my goodness. So I think this was in our Facebook group. So I cheated a little bit. And I actually thought about this, but not too much. But I have so many great names. So let me preface this by saying, early on in my Hearthstone career, I saw all these people naming their decks Face Hunter, Thief Priest, Control Shaman. And I'm like, well, if you look in your deck list, it has a picture of the class. So why are you putting the class's name in the name of your deck? So I am against putting the name of the class in the name. So any name that's not with the class name is my favorite. Like, there's so many that I've come up with, and I would love to pull up Hearthstone right now, but I'd probably blow up my internet. And but yeah, there's so many. Lots of cool names.
That's funny because I totally break that rule with like everything. Like I'm pretty sure one of my decks right now is like hand buff beast hunter huntering hunter of hunters. I'm pretty sure I mentioned hunter in like 3 different adjectives. It's bad.
That's funny. It's so crazy, but I don't want to say it's a pet peeve of mine, but I think it is a pet peeve of mine.
I don't think I name my decks. They're just there. I should probably do that.
I think the first reply was maybe Tom Steele or somebody like that, and they said my favorite deck name is Custom Hunter.
I'm still rocking the Innkeeper's Mage deck for me because I like it. I've swapped out like 2 cards, but I'm like, this is a good deck. I'm a bad one. I have a tradition on here when we get people who I consider pretty darn amazing in certain games. Ask them for their elevator pitch. What would their advice be for a new player learning how to play Hearthstone other than listen to your podcast? But what would be your, hey man, listen, this is what you should do. Go.
Okay. So really quick, my suggestion would be to make sure you are playing for the game of Hearthstone. You want to be playing a minion on the board or play your turn to get rid of their minion. Each of your turns, you should be doing something like that, and you'll progress a lot quicker. Try to think about how you will keep your minions alive whilst getting rid of their minions, and that'll keep your game rolling. So either running your minions into his and keeping yours alive, or going face and keeping yours alive so you can make him run his minions into yours. A big thing in Hearthstone is keeping minions alive. You always want to keep them alive. That's just right off the top of my head. There's many other things I could talk about, but that's just right off the top of my head. That's what I thought of.
Nice. Now, how about the newest patch? We've talked about we've touched on
it.
Mean Streets, but how are you liking it? You enjoying it? Is it a good time?
Yeah. So Mean Streets is probably no. I want to say guaranteed the best expansion, hands down. I think it's because of the way they've made these three different mechanics with the three families. That's blown me away, and it's added so much fun to the game. I love Mean Streets. Can't say enough about it.
Nice. Now, what? Let me ask you, favorite card out of Mean Streets?
Oh my goodness. Oh wow. Oh jeez. Oh, you're putting me on the spot.
I am. That's a legit one because there's a lot of cards.
It is. Oh man. I want to say, whew, Cruel the Unshackled, maybe.
Okay.
The guy that I think it's when his death rattle is he brings all demons from your hand onto the board.
Oh, yeah, I don't like that one.
Yeah, Rez played that against me, and I most people get salty when someone gets a crazy combo off against them. I love it. I think it's amazing. Because of me, you are having fun in the game of Hearthstone, and you are doing great things. If you wouldn't have been playing me, you might not have got that off. So that's when Rez did that. I was like, dude, you're welcome.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm like it's horrible. I'm a little bit of a meta queen. So like the Jade decks have been doing it for me. And there's nothing more satisfying than playing Jade Rogue and dropping the little, and I'm not going to remember the name of the card, but you drop the card that the battle cry is summon a Jade Rogue, and then you shadow step it back into your hand and drop it again. Oh, that feels so good.
So you played your Jade Spirit. Now the Jade Spirit is so Jade Spirit is actually a family card. So Shaman, Druid, or Rogue can play this card, which is really cool. So you play it for 4 mana, and it summons a Jade Golem, whether it be 1/1, 2/2, whatever progression you're on. Shadow Step allows you to play it again, costing 2 less. So you can, let's say you played it the first time, you got the Jade Spirit on the board, little 1/1 Jade Golem. You Shadow Step it, play it again, and then you get a 2/2 Golem, and then you can Brewmaster it back to your hand. So it's funny that you mentioned that deck because we had Matt Place on, and if you don't know him, he's the I think he's lead game designer for Hearthstone.
Yeah,
we had him on to talk about the Mean Streets. We had met him at BlizzCon, and him and I had about a 30-minute conversation about Hearthstone after the Q&A. And I was like, dude, why don't you just come on our podcast? That way we can continue this conversation. So he came on, we talked about Mean Streets, and that was his deck. He loved he loved bouncing the Jade Spirit, bouncing all those other cards out, and getting those battle cries off, and just making all these Jade Golems all over the place. So there you go. You have... You're there with one of the lead designers, dude. You guys are same mind.
There you go. See, I should basically be making Hearthstone is what Espo just said. So
that's kind of what I'm suggesting. I'm suggesting
Blizz,
that right
I'm
now.
here. I'm available. You have my phone number. I've applied. I'm in your database. Just call me. I can't start next week. It's a little hectic for me, but we can work something out. We could definitely. And guys, if you just noticed what Espo did, whether it was consciously or not, he just took me using the jargon of Jade Spirit and Shadow Step, and then just explained it to you, like exactly what they do on their part, and that was kind of beautiful. I felt like I was like I'm sitting at the end with the keepers and their legends.
What I love, you always like. Okay, so you have people who explain things. They're like, oh, yeah, by the way, you noobs, here's this. You're so passionate about it, and you're so happy. You're like, oh, guys, this is what this actually means, just so you know. So, it's so awesome. You can tell you teach little kids in the best way possible.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Oh, Well, guys, that is unfortunately. I wish that we could talk to Espo for like hours more,
Bring
but
him back.
he teaches little kids and wakes up like much earlier in the morning than I thought actually exists. So we're gonna go ahead and wrap this up, and this is gonna bring us to a wonderful part of the show where we do shout outs. Espo, is there anyone that you would like to shout out this week, sir?
Well, first of all, I can't, I would be remiss if I didn't shout you guys out. Thank you so much for having me on. This is awesome. You know, you guys are great, and I really appreciate you guys having me on. Of course, I would be wrong if I didn't shout out my awesome co-host Vastidius, who actually is responsible for me doing all this stuff because he asked me to be on his podcast. And of course, my one friend Rez, I got to shout him out.
Oh, that's awesome. T, what about you?
Yeah, I have a couple shout outs. First off, C-Chair Guild, you guys have been awesome and patient. We wrapped up the anniversary, and I am still mailing out raffle prizes because this was our biggest sign up yet, and Blizzard only limits you to 20 an hour. As much as I love staying at my computer, not that much. So I'm getting the prizes out. It's just they limit me on how many because they think that I spam. Shout out, and this is kind of an odd one, to my baby sister. She just applied to be on the Bethesda team as some programming for games and stuff. And so she's young. She's only 20. I am very nervous, but huge shout out for her for taking that step. So excited. And remember me if you get it. And then finally to Stephen Adley Gerges, he did me a huge favor. So thank you so much. But those are my shout outs for this week.
Right on. Well, guys, I have a couple as well. First and foremost, of course, to our wonderful guest, Espo. Thank you so much for coming on the show. It is a true honor, my friend. This is one of the folks in podcasting that I truly look up to. And I, like, for you guys that have listened for a while, you know I used to have an hour and a half long commute to work each way, every day, 5 days a week. So I was spending 3 hours in the car. And then I hated my job, so I was listening to podcasts at work, too. That has changed. I'm no longer there. And so my podcast listening has cut way back. One podcast that I like, it wasn't even ever close to being on the cutting block, was Legend of the Innkeeper, because these guys are really and truly amazing. Meeting them at BlizzCon was an absolute highlight of my trip. It really and truly was. I got to bump into Vastidius like several times, just randomly on the floor, and we saw like Espo and them came by the Well Played party. I saw them at Calm Before the Storm. It's funny because I get like one or two people every year that come up to me and are like blown away, like, oh, you're Cuddles, and like this is the guy that Cuddles fanboyed out about. And yes, I'm now talking about myself in the third person. My celebrity is complete. Outside of that, huge shout out to everybody that has offered support for some of the changes that have been going on in my life. I appreciate you all. You guys mean a lot to me. It just goes to show that friends on the internet are not any less than any friends that you have in real life. The connections and the relationships that I've made, I really and truly appreciate all of you. You guys are all amazing. And giant across the internet hugs to everyone. Alessander, we don't normally do chat room shout outs, but we'll do one. Alessander has a shout out to Theory of CTR and the Epic Fail podcast for helping her out when he needs us. Yeah.
Aww.
That's the thing. Theory's a great guy. I love him. He lives about 45 minutes away. I don't get to hug him enough. Wish you did. Wish you did. But you know what? Before we do the rest of this, I want to talk about very quickly. Guys, I'm going to drop a link in chat. This will be in the show notes as well. If you are anywhere within the Central Florida area on February 25th at 3 p.m. at the Cloak and Blaster in Orlando, Florida. Guys, this is an absolutely awesome venue. They have board games, they have card games, they have beer, they have food, they have all the things that are good. Like literally all of them. We are going to be myself along with Root and Freckleface from Hearthcast are going to be hosting the wonderful and amazing Jules and Pat Crane of the Convert to Raid Guild fame. So that is guys. This is our former guild master and our current guild master, I believe. Yeah. So if you're in CTR, if you're involved in WoW, if you're involved in Blizzard, come hang out, guys. There's going to be a lot of podcasters there, a lot of WoW community members, and we're just going to hang out and have a good time, play some games. Someone will probably drink some beer. That someone will probably be me. But guys, there will be a link. It is a meetup event, 3 p.m. Saturday, February the 25th. That is going to be going down. So this brings us to a magical and wonderful, a somewhat like respectful part of the show, where I get down on my virtual knees and I beg and I plead for those 5-star iTunes reviews. Guys, remember, if you enjoy what we're doing here, leave us 5 stars for the Game Case Show, 2 stars for, I don't like Hearthstone. Why do all these kids like Hearthstone? A podcast where an old man rants about kids playing Hearthstone. It's really not that good. You should give it 2 stars. Espo, where can people find you on the internet?
Well, I am on the Twitter at XCMTBGamer, and you can find the podcast that I co-host with Vastidius over at legendoftheinnkeeper.com.
Right on. Now, guys, if you're not listening to Legend of the Innkeeper right now, go do that. Like, you're not listening to things right. Like, delete my podcast and go listen to them. It's better. No, keep my podcast around too.
Yeah,
Just
don't delete the podcast.
You don't have to listen. It hits my numbers anyway. But take my time and listen to them. It'll be great. No, you guys also do a live show. When and where does that happen?
Yeah, so you can find us at twitch.tv/LOTI podcast, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Tuesday nights. So we are there. We go live about 8:15 and record for about an hour. And then we hang out a little bit. And then we usually jump into some form of a Blizzard game and have fun with our friends.
There you go, guys. And this is, if you're looking for a community to get involved in, go find these guys. Like, go find them. Their community. If for some reason you didn't like Espo, that's fine. Their community is incredible and amazing. I don't know why you wouldn't like Espo. I love Espo. We need to get Vastidius on here one day too.
Noted.
There you go. That's this is why I love Tour Arts. She's awesome and amazing and does the things that I don't like to. So guys, that is gonna do it for today. Tour Arts Espo, say bye.
Hi.
Good job, team.
Thank you for listening to The Game Case Show. Be sure to follow us on Twitter. You can find Cuddles at The Game Case, Tourarts at Tourarts, and you can find the show at The Game Case Show. Join us live Sunday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern at twitch.tv/thegamecase. Archived episodes are available at youtube.com/thegamecase. The theme music for the show is Celtic Impulse by Kevin MacLeod of Incompetech.com and is licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0.